What is up, guys? It's Cube Nation here, and today I actually have something quite interesting, which is I have the X-Man V3 Tornado, and the reason I got this is because I recently checked the Cubicle's new video, and they actually recommended this cube as the best cube of 2022, which is quite interesting considering the GANs actually came out, but I think the reason they didn't recommend that was probably because of the price. But yeah, so I decided to buy one and check it out. So what comes in the box is this interesting cube bag. It has obviously the cube itself. It has an interesting card. It's actually like a full-on cardboard card. This appears to be a cleaning cloth of some kind. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I actually did not really know that the technology surrounding these cubes went this far, but the way tension works now is no longer with a screwdriver, but rather sort of with these turning knobs. And in addition, you can also change the magnets, the strength of the magnets that come with it. So yeah, that'll be quite interesting. And I think this is the key, sort of how the cube will function. I also did buy Gans lube, but this might be in another video. But yeah. So let's open it up. So this is the cube itself. And before we go on first turns, I do want to mention that I did get the flagship rather than the standard and pioneer. The difference is, as well, you can see the differences here. So they both have the settings to change the tension as well as the magnets, but the flagship, the only difference it has against the standard is that it has the magnetic core. So if you like magnets, then you should probably get either the flagship or the pioneer. But if you like the sort of traditional style of cubes, then you could get standard. And the difference between flagship and pioneer is that pioneer has something called maglev, and this appears to be sort of a newer thing. I actually haven't looked at newer cubes in a while, so I wasn't familiar with this until recently. But maglev appears to be sort of the repelling of magnets, it seems, and it's supposed to help, I think, with more of the locking mechanisms, and yeah, have a more, I don't know, like better feeling, I suppose, compared to non-maglev. But from what I hear, Cubicle recommended the flagship simply because the differences aren't astoundingly drastic. And it is also probably worth mentioning that the prices of the flagship for this one on the Cubicle, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's around the $30 range, while the Pioneer's around the 40, if I'm not mistaken, while the Standards is around the $20 range. So yeah, let's without turning it, the tension does seem quite tight and appears to be quite lubed already. But all right, let's try first turns. Hmm. It definitely feels it's very smooth, and the magnets, I don't know what setting they're at right now, but yeah, they feel really strong. And maybe I'm just not used to these sort of magnets, but they feel very strong. Like, if it's not, as long as it's not anywhere near the magnet, it feels normal. But the moment you get even slightly near the magnet, you can start to feel it tug, and it just automatically clasps. I can definitely feel that it's at quite a high tension though. So let me actually check out the tensioning. All right, okay, well that took a while. Okay, yeah, the caps are a lot deeper than I thought. Um, it completely covers sort of tensioning side. and here's the tension. I'm not actually sure what it's at right now. Let me actually take a look at the manual and see how you're supposed to turn it. So, oh, there's English here. I'm not too sure. So it says, yeah. I think I might have to figure this out, and this might take a bit. All right, I think I managed to figure it out. So I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but if you see this tiny hole, that sort of represents the tension it's at. And in order to change it, you can actually lift up this flat. And if you turn it counterclockwise, you can actually change the tension it's at. 5 is the tightest tension, I think, while 1 is obviously the loose tension. Just now it was at 3, which for me felt already tight. So if we leave it at 2, yeah, I think, yeah, this definitely feels a lot better than the 3 it was at. And I think for now I can leave it at that. I did hear that the V2, when it came out, was not symmetrical, or like the centerpiece was not symmetrical, but in this case it is. So that's quite good to hear. I did leave that at 2, which means I would have to change the other. This probably means I will have to change the other centerpieces as well, which might take a bit. All right, so I managed to change all of the tensions, and yeah, so it definitely doesn't feel as tight as it was. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's a great cube. I think the magnets feel great. I think the turning is actually fine, and the corner cutting is good as always. Yeah, I guess there's a bit of a limit to reverse corner cutting until it just changes to a U. But the tension, I'm gonna have to play around with it. I just put it at 2 for now, just because I think 3 felt a bit tight. But I'll have to see and play around with it. But yeah, I think for now it actually doesn't feel too bad. Let's try some M. Yeah, well, so I'm actually overshooting a bit, but yeah, like it feels very, very smooth. I might need to put a bit of maintenance lube on it just to not make it so fast, but yeah. I also do need to break the cube in a bit, and after I break it in, I'll see how it feels. Another thing to note is also how to change the magnet strength, as you can see here. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a plus and there's a minus on the left. And what you do is you have this tool that you sort of stick in that slot. And you can actually turn it. And depending on how you turn it, if it goes to the plus, then you make the magnets stronger. And if you go to the minus, you actually make the magnets weaker. So I'm actually just gonna stick with the way it is right now because I'm satisfied with it, and I think any stronger will probably be a bit too much, and I don't know if I want weaker magnets. So yeah, I think that is probably what I'll stick with. And also, if I want to change it, I'll have to change every single piece, which will take time. I know the new GANs also has basically all of what the Tornado V3 has, except that is around $80. So the price difference is quite big, and that is sort of a big obstacle that people do find. So I can understand why the Cubicle recommends this cube, because it has a lot of the functions that the GAN has, but it's also a lot cheaper. And even if you do get the standard version, which is the cheapest, it has all of the dual adjustment system as well as the magnetic adjustment system. If you don't like magnets, then you should get the standard, but you obviously are sacrificing the maglev and the magnetic core if you do get the standard. But other than that, I think all the additions might be fine. The Cubicle definitely recommends the flagship simply because it's sort of the middle ground where it has magnets as well as a semi-reasonable price. While if you do want to take it a step further, you could get the maglev with Pioneer. Those were the first impressions of the X-Man Tornado V3. And I think after this, I'll show you a bit of practice solves and let's see how they will affect my time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, Cube Nation out. So these solves were a couple days after I unboxed the cube, and after a couple days of solving and breaking it in, it definitely feels more stable and more controllable compared to when I first opened it, and it definitely feels good even after a couple days of turning. So enjoy these solves.